Hi, everybody. It's Miss Amy, and I'm here to bring a new book to you. I am so excited to share this book with you. I borrowed it from our school library. Now, this book is a little more mature. It's a fourth grade level, so a 4.2. I still find it very entertaining. Um, it doesn't have much mature content in it, except for maybe one picture might be. I don't know. It's a soldier in a window, so I'll let you parents decide. Um, but this book is written by Patricia Polacco or Palacio. I'm not exactly sure. And it's called The Blessing Cup. And it says that it's a companion to the Keeping Quilt. Now, Miss Amy's going to have to go back to her school library and see if I can find that one too. Now, this book is just wonderful to me. It created such emotion, and I just wanted to share it with you. Now, remember, I do not own the rights to this book. I don't even own the book. I borrowed it from the school library. You should check out a library today. But I just really wanted to share it with you. This has got some awesome illustrations in it too. And as we go along, I will introduce some vocabulary that you may not know, some words you may not know, and I'll try to pronounce them as good as I can because this book takes place in Russia. So there's Russian language in here. Um, and it might be Hebrew language. I'm not sure. The book is about Jewish people. So there's words in it that Miss Amy struggles saying. But anyways, I wanted to share this book with you because it's such an amazing book and it brought so many good feelings to Miss Amy. So I'm ready to crack this spine and open the book and share it with you. Like I said, this is one of my more serious books. I might be silly, but I doubt it. The Blessing Cup. Isn't that a beautiful cup? I love teacups. All right. The Blessing Cup by Patricia Polacco. When my great grandmother Anna was a little girl, long before she came to America, she lived in a small shtetl, which is a small home in a small village, with her mother, papa, and baby sister Magda near Tver in Russia. So that's a town, Tver. I may not be saying it right because there might be an accent there that I don't know. But we're going to call it Tver. Life was made harder, yet, whenever the Tsar's soldiers came. Tsar. A czar is an emperor or a king. So we're talking about the emperor or the king of Russia at this time. So it says that life was made harder when they came along, the czar's soldiers, so the people that work for him. Why do they do this to us, Mama? Anna cried to her mother. As her mother rocked Anna and Magda in her arms, she whispered, I don't know, my child. I don't know. So this is that one picture where the little girls are frightened and there's a soldier in the window, but nothing really scary. But I wanted you to be warned because I believe as parents, you have the right to know. When it was safe, Anna's mother took them into the kitchen. Soon, Anna's papa came home. When they all sat down, Anna's mother placed two candlesticks on the table. She climbed up on the warming stove and pulled down something that was lovingly covered with an embroidered cloth. Now, embroidered means that the cloth or the towel had something really pretty stitched on it, sewn. Underneath was a magnificent China tea set, I'm sorry. It was Friday and the sun had set. Now, this family is a Jewish family, and Jewish families celebrate the Sabbath, or they call it Shabbat, and it begins on Friday nights, and it represents the day of rest. So they were getting the candlesticks down. I don't know what year this was in, I don't know if they had electricity, but I do know that people that celebrate Shabbat or Sabbath now, a lot of them will turn out their lights for the day and use candles because they're not supposed to use any type of energy. So that's what they were doing. Anna's mother lit the candles and whispered prayers that began Shabbat, which is Sabbath. Tell us again, Mama. Tell us about the tea set, Anna teased. Well, her mother began, it was many years ago, just after your papa and I were married. A horse-drawn cart came to our village all the way from Tver. On it was the biggest wooden crate, yeah, I had ever seen. Everyone in Novka, again, I don't know these words. That's a town in Russia. Roynovoka gathered around to see what was in it. This is when I discovered the crate was for me, she exclaimed with a grand gesture. And when I unpacked it, everyone in the village stepped back. It took their breath away. It was a beautiful china set that you see before you now. You see Anna's grandmother right there holding that beautiful china set? Look at all the women all excited and wanting to see. But Mama, the note! Tell us about the note again, Anna insisted. Inside of the pot was a note. It was from my Aunt Rebecca in Minsk. It read, Rachel, this is for you to celebrate your marriage. This tea set is magic. Anyone who drinks from it has a blessing from God. They will never know a day of hunger. Their lives will always have flavor. They will know love and joy, and they will never be poor. Now, boys and girls, you might be asking yourself, wait a minute, Miss Amy. You said they lived in that small house in a small village called a shtetl. I did. But boys and girls, did you know there's other things in life that can make you feel rich aside from money? Let's read on. I think this book will give us ideas of what Miss Amy's talking about. It was true, Anna thought. God had blessed them. Before their evening meals, Mama would always say, so that our lives will always have flavor. Anna felt nothing but love and joy in her mother's house. And even though their lives were humble, humble means not having a lot, or what you do have isn't like expensive, flashy things. So they just had simple stuff. But it says, and even though their lives were humble, because there was never enough money, Anna's papa would say to her, oh, there is rich and there is rich. We are richer than kings. And do you know why? Then he and Anna chanted together, because we have each other. Anna felt that in Roynovoka, everyone was rich. They had one another. You see, Anna got it. She knew that money wasn't everything. She knew that she was rich in blessings because she was loved and she felt the love all around her. Sometimes we're very rich with wonderful loving people in our lives, boys and girls. Doesn't always have to be money or nice things. Winter was coming to an end in Roynovka. The first signs of spring were peeking through the last thin blankets of snow. Oh, how I wish it would snow here in Texas. But it was still cold. together in the warming bed on top of the brick oven in the kitchen. As Anna drifted off to sleep, she watched the flickering light on the oven make patterns on the tea set. It was as if they were dancing just for her. She was a very happy young lady, wasn't she, boys and girls? She had a lot to be happy for. I know we might be thinking, oh, but she lived in a shtetl and she didn't have a lot and it was cold and she had to sleep in the bed with her family. But you know what? Some of my biggest and favoriteest memories are when my children were in the bed. My youngest son and my youngest daughter hate thunderstorms. And I remember one night almost all my children were in the bed and they were so big. They weren't little babies anymore, but I can remember it to this day and it was a very special moment. Suddenly, in the middle of the night, Anna was startled awake of terrible sounds. "What's happening, Mama?" Anna screamed. Her mother bundled Anna and Magda into the goat house where they hid while Anna's papa ran to the temple. A temple's like a church. It's the Jewish church. When her papa got there, it was too late. What do you think happened, boys and girls? The temple was in flames. Rabbi Wisemantle shook a paper in Anna's papa's face. Now, a rabbi is like what if you're not Jewish, I'm not Jewish either, but I know people who are Jewish, and I love people who are Jewish. Um, a rabbi is kind of like if you're Catholic, your priest or the father. If you just go to another type of church, it's like your pastor. So, or a reverend. So the rabbi is the head of the church um, for the Jewish religion. So Rabbi Wisemantle shook a paper in Anna's papa's face. "The Tsar has ordered all Jews to leave Russia. All of us!" he sobbed. "This is happening everywhere in Russia. The commandment of the soldiers called out." Anna's papa rushed back to the home to tell his family. The Russian Tsar, the king or emperor, was throwing them out of their town and out of their home. They were going to become refugees. They wouldn't have a home and they're being thrown out. Sadly, a long time ago, and I believe it probably still happens in some places, people throw Jewish people out of their area. They've treated them very bad. And that's what's happening here, boys and girls. They're treating Anna's family bad and all the Jewish people that are there in Tver, or Roy-Novoka. For the next days, everyone had to sell or give away their meager belongings. Now, meager belongings means the stuff that belongs to them, obviously, but it wasn't much, so it was just meager, just the little bit that they had. They were ordered to pack what they could drag in carts or carry and leave. "Where will we go, Mama?" Anna asked. "Your papa has a cousin in a faraway land called America. Perhaps we can go there," her mother whispered. "How far away is it?" Anna asked. "Across the vast sea. So you must help me now and be brave." "I don't want to leave," Anna cried softly. "None of us do," her mother whispered as she packed. "Why don't they want us here?" Anna finally asked. "Because we are different from them. They are afraid of what they don't understand," Anna's mother said, wrapping the beautiful tea set in a soft clothing. "It will bring God's blessings with us on our journey," her mother whispered. think what I like about the illustration so much is that most of it's black and white, but then they just put a little pop of color here and there, especially when they show the tea set, don't they, boys and girls? Anna's papa loaded his sewing machine. Oh, he must have been a tailor. Anna's papa loaded his sewing machine, their menorah. Now, a menorah is, it holds candles. It's this big thing and it comes out like this. It has 8 candlestick or places to put candlesticks. And they, I mean, you could see them in other places, but they're very important in the Jewish lifestyle. The shofar, which is a horn that is made from a ram's horn. And it does play music, yes. And he packed his tallis. A tallis is like a scarf that the men used when they prayed, or they still use it. It's a scarf that they put on their head when they pray. And his holy books. This is the last of what we are able to take with us, he said, sighing. He placed Anna and her sister in the cart, and he and their mother slowly pulled the cart away. Anna looked back at her village as long as she could see it. Only when it disappeared from her sight did she look ahead and wonder what their new life in America would be. So here's all the people leaving. And then here is Anna's parents pulling the cart, and there's Anna and her daughter, her sister in the cart. It looks like it was cold still. Remember, they were all huddled in the bed together, and there was still a little bit of blanket of snow on the ground. The first night they stayed in a cold barn with other refugees fleeing the pogroms. I would assume that's the soldiers, the Tsar's soldiers. Anna's mothers went to the well and drew water in the china teapot and said, "May God's blessings be upon us." Then she broke bread and sprinkled salt upon it and whispered, "Bread, so that we shall never know hunger in our new life. Salt, so that our lives will always have flavor. We shall always know love, and as long as we are together, we shall never be poor." Then she passed the cup to each of them. They drank the water, ate their salted bread and raisins, and then hugged close and went to sleep. As time went on, the journey was very hard. On some nights, they were welcome to sleep in barns. On other nights, they were chased away. Most nights, Anna's papa slept on the ground while his family slept in the cart. The open ground was damp, and he shivered with cold. As the months passed, Magna was no longer a baby in her mother's arm. Anna's papa did odd jobs to get enough money as they continued their flight from Russia. They were doing all they could to survive and to get to America, but Papa was getting sick. Anna, Magna, and their mother looked around. Nope, I missed a page. I'm sorry. Let me go back. It was a hard It was a hard fall, and as they approached yet another new town, it was getting harder for Anna's papa to pull the cart. Then, on the outskirts, he couldn't take another step. He collapsed. Anna's mother ran to find a doctor. When the doctor arrived, he listened to Papa's chest. "Your husband is very ill. He needs medicine, good food, rest, warmth, and care," he said. Anna's mother looked distressed. She was concerned and worried. "You can stay with me. I live quite alone now. I'll make your husband well," the doctor said as he brought them into his home. What a wonderful blessing that is, especially since Papa was so sick. Anna, Magda, and their mother looked around the doctor's fine house. "Look at these rugs," Anna's mother said, as they all leaned over and felt one of them. "My late wife collected fine Persian rugs. There's a rich merchant just down the street who has offered me a fortune for that one," the doctor chirped with a broad smile. After he put Anna's papa to bed, he came into the kitchen. "Can you cook, woman?" "That is the question," he boomed. Anna's mother smiled back and bowed. "Such food I'll make for you, doctor," Anna's mother announced, opening cupboards and seeing what there was in the house to prepare to eat. "Then welcome, my dears," the doctor said softly. He's not only taking care of Papa, he's taking care of the whole family. What a nice man. Now, I am probably going to botch this name up, so just bear with me, y'all. Evgeny Vladimirovich Pushkin was true to his word. With his constant care, Anna's papa was soon recovering. The doctor saw to it that Anna and her sister were given proper food and fresh milk every day. It was he who noticed that Anna could not see well. So he fitted her with a new pair of spectacles. It's another word for glasses. He took great delight in the good food that Anna's mother prepared. He grew very fond of the two children. That means he liked them very much. And the whole family called him Uncle Genya. Or Genya? Genya? Some months later, there was a pounding at the door. Anna's mother knew right away from the look on Uncle Genya's face the visit was about. Oh, she knew right away from Anna's mother knew right away from the look on Uncle Genya's face what the visit was all about. "They have told you that you cannot house Jews, haven't they?" she asked. Dr. Pushkin nodded yes. "Then we shall have to leave," Anna's mother said sadly. "My dear, your husband cannot survive pulling that cart and sleeping in the open air. He is gravely weakened from the pneumonia." He put on his coat and he went out the front door. When Uncle Genya came back, he asked the family to go into the parlor. He pulled a packet of papers from his pocket. "I have gotten you all traveling papers so that you can cross borders safely. I also bought these tickets for the train that will take you to Verdansk. There I have arranged passage for all of you on a ship that will take you to America," he said quietly. Anna's papa fell to his knees and tears filled his face. "How, Genya, how could you have possibly done this? It had cost you a small fortune," he cried. "Only that rug." See, I told you it's a very emotional book. I'm sorry. "Only that rug you are kneeling on. I sold it," Genya said with a broad smile. He had given something away that his wife loved, and he lost his wife a while ago. It was precious to him, but he was willing to give it to this man who wanted it so he can afford to send this family to America. "But how can we ever repay you?" Anna's mother cried. And Miss Amy's crying right along with him. It is such a beautiful book. Sorry, y'all. That evening, Anna's mother unpacked the tea set and brewed rich black chai tea. Chai tea is a tea that kind of tastes like pumpkin pie. It has lots of spices in it. It brings God's blessing, and our desire is that a blessing will forever be on you in this house. Then she taught Uncle Genya the ritual of the bread, salt, and love, and being richer than a king. They all rose very early the next morning. Dr. Pushkin drove them to the train himself in his carriage. When he arrived back home, he was astonished by what he saw on the sideboard. In his dining room, it was the exquisite tea set. Next to it was a note Anna's mother had written. Always remember, dear friend, you are the bread that fed us. You are the salt that flavored our lives. You are the love and joy that held us together. Your golden, kind heart makes you rich indeed. You shall never be poor. I am leaving our precious tea set in your good keeping. We kept one cup so that we can still have its blessing among the four of us. It is all that we will need. So the doctor sold the beautiful rug to get the money to help this family. And all Anna's family had to offer was this tea set that meant so much to them. But everything the doctor had done for them meant so much to them that they wanted to share the blessing of the teapot and this tea set with them. And so it was Anna and her family traveled across the sea to America. Anna and her family all stood together at the rail and looked up at the Statue of Liberty. That's where many immigrants came in to America, is right there at the Statue of Liberty. Papa, are the Tsar's soldiers here too? Anna asked as she took his hand. No, my dearest, not here. They can't reach us here, he whispered, and he squeezed her hand. I know, Miss Amy's a blubbering mess. It's just a beautiful story. They lived for a time in Manhattan on 10th Street. Anna's papa worked in a tailor's shop just down the block from their three-room walk up. Every night, Anna's mother got out the one remaining cup and shared tea from it with her family. Sorry, this reminds me of my grandparents too, because when they'd come from Scotland, my grandparents are from Scotland, or so they lived in with us for a while, or not with us, but they lived in California when I lived in California too. And we always had tea with my grandma and my grandpa, and it's just a very special moment. So tea is special to me. um, every night, Anna's mother got out that one remaining cup and shared tea from it with her family. As they drank, they remembered the bread, salt, love, and richness of being together. They also vowed that they would never forget Uncle Genya. Eventually, Anna's mother and papa moved the family from New York to Union City, Michigan. On every family occasion and holiday, they drank from the cup and recited its blessings. Every Christmas and every Thanksgiving, I can remember my mom had put out this beautiful china and crystal glasses as we celebrated, and it just touches home. I bet you boys and girls have something that your family does that's very special too. And if you don't, maybe you can create something and you can make memories with your family. Anna's parents lived out their days on that little farm. And shortly after her papa's death, Anna received the cup from her mother. Anna shared the cup and its blessings with her husband and children all the rest of her life. Shortly before her death, she gave the cup to her daughter, Carly. My grandmother Carly and her family named that cup the Blessing Cup and shared its blessings. In fact, I have one of the crystal glasses, or a crystal glass like the ones my mom used to use. And I actually drank from it this evening with my supper. And it's a special glass to me. In 1938, Carly gave the blessing cup to my mother, Mary, on her wedding day. In 1962, my mother gave the blessing cup to me on my wedding day. What a precious, precious, beautiful gift to receive and have in your home. I kept the blessing cup in an honored place in my home. I drank from it with my own two children while teaching them the blessings that I carried. I stored the cup on the top shelf in my china cabinet. I did at times wish that I could have more than one cup so that both of my children could take a piece of our history with them when they married. On October 17th, 1989, at 5:04 in the afternoon, my home was rocked by one of the strongest earthquakes that the San Francisco Bay Area has experienced since the Great Quake in 1906. Boys and girls, I lived in California at that time, and I actually lived several hours and miles away from San Francisco, and I felt that earthquake. When I knew that everyone I loved was safe, I walked into the dining room and to my horror saw my china cabinet overturned. Everything in it had been shattered. I caught my breath. Oh God, the blessing cup. I sighed. When I looked down, there it was on the floor in the midst of all the shards of broken glass and china. It had broken exactly in two, as if by design, by an unseen force. I thought of my two children and smiled. I picked up the two pieces and held them close to my heart. At that moment, I realized more than any other time that my ancestors were my bread, that the salt and flavor of my life were their stories, that those stories were kept by them so that I would know that I was loved generations before I was born. How rich I am indeed. Thank you, boys and girls, so much for allowing me to read this beautiful book called The Blessing Cup by Patricia Polacco with you and get emotional. There's just sometimes books do that to Miss Amy, and I know this is a very long video, so if you've stuck around and watched the whole thing, thank you so very much, because, you got to get into the book and dive in and get deep to get all of what it was about. And boys and girls, this story just goes to tell us how important and how special our family is and the memories that we make with them. Thank you so much for boys and girls and anybody who's out there watching this. And if you're watching this before bedtime, good night and sleep tight.